Ms. Li, thank you so much for joining us. Now, as globalization continues to shape our world, we're seeing international migration on the rise. How do you see migrants contributing to the socioeconomic fabric of our global community? And how does IOM work to ensure that migration is not only safe, orderly, but also a force of positive change?
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. And it's my great pleasure to join this program. Indeed, as you said, that over the last 3 decades and more, international migration has increased significantly. While there were only 154 million international migrants worldwide in 1990, that number increased to 304 million in 2024. International migrants benefit the whole society, host country, by bringing in fresh perspectives and skills, enriching the cultural fabric of the whole society and filling in the labor market gaps. At the same time, international migration also benefits origin countries, particularly through the remittances sent back home by migrants, which can significantly uplift their families and contribute to local economy. As estimated by World Bank, officially recorded remittances to low and middle income countries reached $685 billion in 2024, larger than ODA and FDI combined. And China ranked number 3 on the list of top recipient countries with a total of $48 billion. So IOM, as the UN Migration Agency, works to facilitate safe, orderly and regular migration for the benefit of both receiving and sending countries, as well as the migrants themselves. Which is also at the core of the Global Compact for Migration adopted by the UN General Assembly in 2018. And one of our priorities is to reduce forced migration, and namely displacement as a result of poverty, instabilities, conflicts, and increasingly climate-induced disasters. We work with partners to save the lives of vulnerable migrants by providing humanitarian assistance, and at the same time find solutions to address the drivers of displacement. In the meantime, we also work to facilitate safe and regular pathways for migration. We advise governments on the implementation of channels for regular migration that are well-designed and tailored to their labor needs, while ensuring that the talents whose skills are needed are empowered to access these pathways.
Now, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi said at the 2 sessions that China will continue to provide strategic underpinning and also foster a favorable external environment for Chinese modernization. We're now in an era where top talent is really the lifeblood of innovation and progress. A lot of countries have stepped up their games in attracting top talent. China has done the same. If you look at it, the country has rolled out a bunch of measures to make it easier for skilled individuals to move across borders easily. In this context, how do you perceive the shifting dynamics of global talent competition? And what sort of strategic moves can China adopt to not only keep pace, but also gain a competitive edge in this race?
True. In recognition of the pivotal role of talents in driving economic growth and innovation, many countries, including China, have intensified effort to attract talents. However, from IOM's perspective, talent attraction is not necessarily a zero-sum game, because in many cases we have seen brain circulation, which refers to the return of skilled migrants to home country after a period abroad, or a pattern of temporary or circular migration of skilled migrants between home and abroad. In addition, the existence of diaspora community also helps enhance the transfer of knowledge, skills, and technology between the host country and sending country. As part of China's effort to implement high standard opening up, a series of measures have been adopted to facilitate international mobility, including talent attraction. For instance, the government has streamlined procedures for applying for a permanent residence permit, the so-called green card, and a growing number of international migrants have received their 5-star cards. And also, I understand that a number of foreigner service centers have been set up around the country in cities such as Guangzhou, offering one-stop service for international migrants, including, for instance, application for work permit, residence permit, visa extension, as well as access to legal services. And we take particular interest in the decision adopted by the third plenary session of the 20th CPC Central Committee last year to explore the establishment of a skilled migration system, which I believe could significantly enhance China's effort for talent attraction. I anticipate that this system will adopt a holistic approach to management of talent mobility, facilitating coordination and synergy across all the sectors involved, and ensuring coherence and compatibility in the measures adopted at city level or provincial level. And I also hope that the new system will put more emphasis on social integration and inclusion of talents, because when talents feel they are part of the community they live in, they tend to be more productive and innovative. So creating a favorable environment for migrants and strengthening integration support, such as access to culture, access to education, health, and family support services will make a big difference. And even basic services such as access to language courses, cultural orientation programs, and social networks will help migrants to overcome the initial challenges and helping them to adapt more quickly and effectively.
And as Chinese companies continue to expand to the international market, they are dealing with a mix of complexities, right? Such as talent mobility, workforce management, different migration policies. What seem to be the biggest challenges they are likely to face to you? And how can the IOM facilitate them in navigating through these complexities?
Yes, as many Chinese companies are now going global, they may face new challenges. For instance, in navigating complex and evolving migration policies and regulations of the host country, or ensuring responsible business practices, particularly in the sectors with intricate supply chains. And the cultural and linguistic differences may also impact workforce integration and operational efficiency. IOM's extensive global footprint, spanning over 170 countries, as well as our in-depth knowledge about the host countries, put us in a good position to support Chinese companies in navigating the complexity of investing overseas. For example, in many parts of the world, IOM has supported companies to implement responsible business practices by providing tools to strengthen responsible recruitment in line with international labor standards. And through these tools and dedicated capacity building programs, IOM has helped those companies embed responsible recruitment principles into their management system. IOM also has decades of experience in supporting the integration of migrants, which can be tailored to support the expatriates and migrant workers to adapt to the new environment. Apart from supporting private sector directly, IOM also works closely with governments worldwide to foster enabling environment for business to operate and thrive. And acting as a bridge between governments and businesses, IOM advocates for policies that facilitate safe, regular pathways for labor migration, ensuring that the rights of migrant workers are safeguarded while also addressing the workforce needs of global industries.
I understand managing migration globally effectively is a global challenge that calls for international collaboration. What sort of role can China play in this collective effort?
Yeah, China as a big origin country and increasingly a destination country has been playing an increasingly active role in international cooperation on migration. And China is a supporter of the Global Compact for Migration, the most comprehensive international agreement on migration adopted by the United Nations so far, which is underpinned by the principle of international cooperation. China has also taken an active part in global and regional migration dialogues and processes. For instance, last year, the National Immigration Administration organized a global forum on migration management in China. and nearly 60 countries and regions as well as international organizations participated and shared experiences and discussed the key policy issues and common challenges. And also within the framework of South-South cooperation, China has provided important support for the sustainable development of the developing countries, helping them to address the drivers of forced migration. For instance, IOM and China work together in Somalia and Nigeria to support the displaced people in those countries. Here in China, we have been working to facilitate the exchanges of Chinese government agencies, social organizations, academic scholars with their international counterparts. For instance, we have been implementing an EU-funded program to provide technical support to China-EU cooperation on migration issues for almost a decade. And this program has helped both China and EU improve their mutual understanding of each other's migration policies, as well as facilitating technical cooperation on migration issues.
Now, looking ahead, what sort of future trends would you say will redefine global migration, and how can China and IOM work together to anticipate or prepare for these kind of shifts?
What the migration of tomorrow will look like pretty much depends on how we respond to the emerging global trends today. In fact, demographic changes and other important trends are already starting to impact mobility patterns. For instance, it's projected that in 2050 in Asia Pacific, 1 in 4 people will be over the age of 60. And this means that some countries may need migrant workers to help sustain the sectors most severely impacted by these demographic changes. And on the side of technology, automation, AI are transforming industries and job markets. So this could lead to shifts in labor demands and migration patterns as migrant workers move in search of new opportunities. And climate change, environmental degradation, will drive more people to move from the affected areas. In 2023, in Asia Pacific, sudden onset events triggered nearly 13 million internal disaster displacements, representing 48% of the global total. So IOM has been working to support governments and stakeholders to address the nexus between migration and climate change, supporting governments to incorporate the dimension of migration into their climate change response strategy, and helping communities to adopt adaptation measures, including through migration. So if we look at the history from human being, it's a history of migration. People have always moved and will continue to do so. When well managed, migration benefits the people who move, as well as the places they move from and to. So in order to achieve that goal, international cooperation is essential. Next year is going to mark the 10-year anniversary of China's membership in IOM. So we look forward to even closer cooperation with China, building on what we have achieved already, and supporting China to leverage migration for accelerated growth while facilitating even greater contribution of China to addressing global migration challenges, so as to unleash the full power of migration for the benefit of all.
Foreign Minister Wang Yi said during the 2 sessions that discovering and embracing China has now become a trend, and that heart-to-heart communication has the power to break down all barriers. I want to get your response to what's been said there. What do you make of these quotes from the Foreign Minister?
Yes, indeed. I mean, thanks to the implementation of visa-free policies and the improvement of tourist services, we have seen a big surge in the number of international travelers coming to China. And China travel has become a buzzword in social media. And actually some of my friends, international friends and colleagues, also came to visit China just over the last few months. And they told me that they had read about and heard about China, but what they saw was just absolutely different. And it was so amazing that they were impressed with the beautiful landscape, warm hospitality of Chinese people, as well as the modern infrastructure. And also, in order to celebrate this year's International Women's Day, we actually interviewed a few female international migrants who have lived in China for some time. to share their experience in China as well as their perspectives about China. So one of the questions we asked them was, how do you feel like living in China? And I think the top three things they mentioned they enjoy most in China included safety, modern technology, and culture, including food. And one of them was even telling us that coming to China is like being reborn.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ms. Li, for taking the time talking to us. We really appreciate your insights.
Thank you for having me.